So security is a big issue for service providers, but you typically see it in the data plane, not in the control plane. Can you tell me a little bit about the control plane security that the SDC offers?
It's a good point, and I agree. I think security and it's different kind of security many times. So on one side, I think networks today are much more open than in the past. In the past, we had the famous closed walled garden, DMZ, however you want to call it. Today, networks are much more open. You have MVNOs connected to your network. You have MVNEs connected to your network. You have vast third parties connected to your network. We already said that roaming, much more much more open than in the past. Also, the network architecture itself, it's much more fragmented and open to risks. So really, security is a big issue, an important issue for service providers moving to LTE. They want to have better control of who is accessing their network and where it's going to. So they want to be able to authorize and to control the usage of their in-house resources and connectivity by outside service providers or third-party vendors. I will say also that there's interoperability section connected to security, and this is because we need to connect so many vendors between so many different networks today. One of the worries of service providers is what will happen if a diameter packet from across the ocean will come to my network by a roaming subscriber. I never done interoperability testing with this other service provider. What will happen to my PCRFs, OCS, and HSSs when this packet will hit my internal network? So sometimes we are called in to come and help with those use cases to make sure that the AVPs, the diameter signaling that comes to the network, is either transferred to friendly AVPs or that any unfriendly content inside the AVPs is being masqueraded and changed to a friendly content. And of course, it's not only the way in. On the way back, you need to answer the originating roamer, so you need to translate back and put the information inside the AVPs. So you're right, security is a big issue. I think it will become even more a bigger issue as the adoption to LTE will continue.
Diameter signaling has just grown exponentially over the past few years. What's been leading to some of that growth?
It's a good question, and I think there's a long list, but I'll try maybe to mention 3-4 things that are the main drivers. I think first is data adoption. Data goes end to end with diameter, and as data goes up, diameter signaling goes up. I think another reason is the adoption of smartphones and the way people are using them. So smartphones create a lot of signaling because of the services and because also the way people use them. You are always on, you are always connected. So if in the past we used to have a connection, what was called PDP context, when you were sending a MMS or surfing through WAP, today you are always connected. I think another reason is the network architecture. There's much more what is called functionalities, much more network components than in the past. We got a lot of new network functionalities, and many of them also split into a number of functionalities. For example, the soft switch became 3 different CSCFs. We didn't have PCRFs in the past. So we got much more functionalities. And the moment you have more functionalities, more boxes in your network, there's more signaling and more connectivity there. I think also the growing number of data centers. So to cope with the growth in data, service providers have reached out to the customers. They created more data centers to cut the cost and to enable better management. But the more data centers you have, the more signaling and connectivity that is needed there. I think those are really the 3-4 main points: the new architecture, the fragmentation, the growth in data, and the penetration of smartphones.
And as we look to the future, we've got new capabilities like machine-to-machine and voice over LTE that are starting to get adopted. How is that affecting diameter signaling?
It's very good question, and actually it's two trends that I'm very excited about. VoLTE, voice over LTE, is taking up rapidly, and there's a lot of signaling there, much more than we have in common voice. Common voice is based on circuit switch. It's mainly used as SS7. It's very easy to handle, it's very easy to manage, and there's not a lot of signaling. In VoLTE, which is using the data stream, it's based on diameter. And because it's using the data, it's based on IP and not circuit switch, but packet switch. And IP and packet switch are much harder to manage. So you require for much more signaling to make sure that you got the voice call quality that you're expecting. So there's much more signaling in VoLTE compared to traditional voice. And this is why I think service providers will have a lot of signaling management requirements in VoLTE. Machine to machine, well, this is the future. We used to have voice-centric networks, and then we had data-centric networks. That's what we have today. I think machine to machine is really signaling-centric networks. It's billions of machines out there. Water meters, ATMs, BMWs, all connected to the network and sending signaling. And just the scale of it. If today service providers here in North America have a network architected for millions or tens of millions of subscribers, we are talking about billions of subscribers. So the scale and the architecture is completely different. Also the trend and the usage patterns. Because think about it, it's midnight now, and 5 million water meters across the US are all sending updates to the network. Think about them, that's the diameter tsunami hitting the core network. This is things that service providers will need to get ready to, and to make sure that their networks are ready to confront this amount of signaling and this signaling behavior, which is completely different than human, regular subscriber caused signaling. So I'm very excited about those two trends. I think that we'll see a huge growth in signaling because of those trends. But there's also, with every opportunity, there's a challenge. And the challenge will really be for service providers to manage this signaling storm that is expected with VoLTE and with machine to machine.